All right, people. What can I say? What can I say, people? What can I say? Now, listen. I'm not impressed at all. Don't get me wrong, though. I do appreciate having the 3 points today, but I thought we could have had the 3 points with a clean sheet and more goals today. But listen, this is the Premier League. We're not playing in the Conference League anymore. Well, not anymore, but like today. You know what I mean? So we just have to differentiate the two. It's not Conference League. Uh, it's not one of those games where we play Noah's Ark and just win like 8-0. You know, we're playing Leicester City. Now, I'm not even giving respect to them because I thought they were shit and they played really bad football. But first, welcome back to the channel, people. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video, obviously. Now, let's dive into the match because personally, I'm not impressed at all. Now, I have a lot to whinge about, if you want to call it that way, but I have a lot to also say concerning my team because I thought Leicester City gave us too much respect. And if we were a serious, I mean, don't get me wrong, though, we are a serious team. Don't get me wrong, but I think we deserved more from this game. I don't think having to concede a goal was really worth it. Now, only because it came from Romeo Lavia, I'm not gonna dig too much into it because he's been one of our best players this season anyway. So I'm gonna give him a leeway. I'm gonna give him a pass. So I'm not even gonna go, I mean, like dig dive into the game, I mean into the goal that we conceded. But I want to start talking about Enzo Fernandez because I mean he got an assist and a goal. Some of you might even complain that it might not have been an assist, but come on, it is what it is, you know. And I'm happy for him though. I'm happy for him. Now, I normally start with positives, then I go to negatives, but I'm just gonna mix it up in there, you know. Um, but yeah, man, I thought Chelsea could have actually come out there with maybe a 3-4 goals. I know Leicester City did they paid too much respect to us. They didn't really come to play. They came to like play a low block. And one thing that I said before, I said when we used to play Nottingham Forest last season with Steve Cooper, we used to struggle to break the lines. We used to struggle to break their low block. And coming into this game, right, I watched Leicester City play Manchester United about 2 weeks ago before the international break, and they were not playing a low block. But for some reason, I knew that coming into Chelsea, they were going to play a low block, and I was very much worried about this game. But however, they did what they had to do, which I mean, they did play a low block, but to some degree, we managed to break that line. And if I'm being honest with you, we should have scored maybe like 3 or 4 goals in that match, but we didn't. I mean, it's just that's the shit we do anyway. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a Premier League match, and I'll take any points I can get, especially if it's 3 points. Now, coming into this game, we didn't have Pedro Neto, we didn't have Malo Gusto as well, so we had to play by the Shield as a central back, and alongside Colwill, we had to play um, Joao Felix as a left wing. And to be fair, I was actually happy that Joao Felix gets to play because obviously I didn't want us to create a situation where we have players not happy in the squad, in the dressing room, that creates a really, really, really bad environment. We already have players like Ben Chilwell and Sterling and Kani Chukwuemeka. They don't even get a game time. So I didn't want us to add more players to the list. So when I saw Joao Felix play today, now I'm not hoping for injuries so that we can accommodate these players, but if we can raise a couple of players like Malo Gustos and the Pedro Netos on a game like Leicester City, I'm happy to see players like Joao Felix coming into the game. Now we're gonna talk more about Joao Felix in a little bit, but I just wanted to talk about the lineup, especially Badia Shile to some extent. I mean, I thought he did all right, considering that we were not so much worried about our defense because Nottingham Forest, they were sitting so far back to a point where we didn't really need to use our defense. And at the end of the day as well, our midfielders were doing their job. They were winning duels, within the central midfielders. And, obviously that took pressure from our, obviously defenders. Now, let's talk about the players that just started today. I mean, Badia Shield, I've got nothing much to say about him because, like I said, I think he did what I expected him to do, considering we're playing Leicester City at home. I mean, at their ground, he did, what I expected him to do. Now, Joao Felix, on the other hand, listen, I've always said this about Joao Felix. We saw him from Benfica going into Atletico Madrid, which didn't really work out, and then going into Barcelona for a loan, which really didn't work out. He came to Chelsea in one season, I think half a season, as a loan spell, and it didn't really work out. Now, I've always said this. He's a really, really good player. I just don't know his ceiling because at the end of the day, he's got things that he needs to work on, like for example, decision making. There are so many times I was screaming into my live stream, and I was like, you know what? Just fucking pass the ball. And he doesn't seem to pass the ball when he needs to pass the ball, and he always seems to want to do too much. He forget that he's not a Lionel Messi or a Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, you do one touch, you do one skillful thing, just release the ball and give it to other players, because there's so many times that he could have released the ball to either Cole Palmer or Nicholas Jackson or even Madueke on the right wing, but he didn't do that. So that's one thing that I'm always against when it comes to Joao Felix. But I think he's a good player, and I think today he did. I think one thing that I would say impressed me with is him tracking back. I saw him, tracking back and marking his man and trying to win duels in the midfield and then at the same time as well central defensive areas. So that's one thing that I have to give it to him. But there are a couple of players I want to talk about, and one of them being Madueke. Like, listen, I don't rate this guy. I've tried. So many times I've actually said, thinking that he's a good player, but at the end of the day, he's just good. I need more than just good players. You know what I mean? I think today he didn't really have a good game. He was all right, but I think if we need to contend for, I'm not gonna say for the title, but like for like top four race, we need him to step up a little bit, which I do think he can step up a little bit if he takes off the selfishness away from him. I think he can step up a little bit. Cole Palmer, on the other hand, yes, he made some couple of good passes, in behind. He tried to create a little bit of half chances. Didn't really work out as obviously we want him to. But at the end of the day, you cannot deny that he's a good player. And this type of games, I don't think it was for him anyway, because I don't think Cole Palmer is a type of player that you rely on, especially when you want to break the lines. When you're playing against a low block team like Nottingham Forest or even Leicester City. I don't think he's the kind of player looking into. I think in those type of games, you're looking into having like the Sanchos, and part of it you can even say Madueke. Even though it kind of seemed like I'm contradicting myself when I talk about Madueke, but I just don't know where to put him really. Um, and at the end of the day as well, listen, it is what it is. But I thought, we could have done better in this match. The other player that I want to talk about is Jackson. I don't know how many more times I've got to come here, whether it's on my TikTok, my YouTube, my Facebook, to say, guys, Jackson is a really good player. And he's not just a really good player in the sense of like him just scoring goals and assisting. The amount of times I've seen him giving too much pressure to the defenders and attacking, it's crazy. Like, he works so hard. He tracks back, he marks his man. He's not selfish guy. Link up play is good. He's just a good player overall. And that goal he scored today, man, you gotta give it to him. He worked hard for it. And I mean, obviously, props to Enzo Fernandez for actually assisting in that goal. But yeah, lastly, I want to talk about Robert Sanchez, because I don't know how many times I have to come here and complain about Robert Sanchez. Today, of course, the penalty, he considered a goal that wasn't his fault, but he could have stopped that goal. It wasn't even that difficult. My daughter, I mean, you saw her on the stream, like, could have literally stopped that goal. Like, I think he put on his fingers on the ball or some shit like that. I don't think it was that difficult for him to stop that goal. But at the end of the day, he's shit anyway. He's a bozo. He's a bozo, man. I can't complain enough of him. I just hope, like, I'm not even gonna be much of a bad person and say, "Yeah, I want him to be injured." Maybe we can see. You remember last season he got injured, and then we saw Petrovic, and actually Petrovic helped us into contending for top six last season. And with Jurgensen as well, I hope that we're going to have a moment, not an injury, because obviously I'm not going to wish that on anybody else, whether you're shit or good. I just hope we're going to create an environment where we're going to see Petrovic, having to be given a chance in the Premier League. Maybe he can prove himself quite right. But Robert Sanchez is not good. He's rubbish. We saw even there was one time he could have passed the ball to Colwill and Fofana, but now he chose to give it to Caicedo, and Caicedo was marked at that point and ended up getting a yellow card for what? Just because your goalkeeper couldn't make a right decision at the time. So yeah, man, it's one of those things where it just pisses you off, and then you read it online and people saying, the Chelsea board are backing him because they think he's going to be mature. He's 26 years old. Like, how much more mature is he going to be? But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, man, we move. We move. Hey, one thing that I'm grateful about, we 3 points. We're still on third position. Let's see how Arsenal does, or do. But I still think that we're going to maintain that. And the next couple of games, I think we have much more favorable fixtures to sort of like going in and pick up these 3 points. I don't care how they come about. All I need is 3 points, if I'm being honest. So yeah, man. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel, people. I'm out. As you can see, man, I'm kind of sleeping in this match review. I'm gonna do another video again tomorrow. So make sure you tune in on that one. It's gonna be a live stream. Yeah, and yeah, man, it is what it is, man. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.